Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar, and I'm excited to have you here. Just a quick review of why we have these webinars and what is the purpose. First and foremost, the purpose of a webinar is to provide training for Logos Bible software. And we do these live and free because we want to make this ministry available to those who, can't afford the training, even though the training is very affordable. And also, we just want to get the word out, what's going on. Provide training so you can study the topic for yourself. That's a very important aspect of this ministry. We, as the old saying goes, you feed a fish yourself for a day, you feed him for a day, but if you teach a person to fish, feed him for a lifetime. And that really is the ministry's goal here. We want you to become your own experts on Logos Bible software. Also, along the way, we're going to provide biblical insights related to the topic. And tonight especially, we'll be leaning more on lecture, even though we will be using Logos quite a bit throughout of it, just due to the nature of the topic. And then also, we're going to provide you materials so you can equip yourself and others. And that's through the personal book. Sometimes we include slides and PowerPoints. Just depends on the nature of the topic. Just another quick reminder, webinars are available. They're recorded, and then we edit them. That's why they take a little bit longer to release. And they're available sometimes within 48 hours if I'm doing well, but lately it's been about a week, so not too bad, sometimes a little bit more. And the retail for $9.99, but they're available for $4.99 as a discount. If you haven't purchased the Logos training bundle, this is a must-have. We still have the Logos 4 training for those who have not upgraded, and we have the Logos 5 upgrade. And the Logos 4 is about 17 hours of training, 300 plus videos. The Logos 5 is 500 videos, 21 hours, and it starts and covers everything. It is the most comprehensive, most affordable training on the planet for learning Logos Bible software. You can learn more by visiting that link below, LearnLogos.com. /buy now. A couple more quick announcements as people start getting ready. Don't forget you can sign up at LearnLogos.com /events. And we're getting ready for the Christmas series. So we've got next Thursday, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, studying the humanity of Christ. So we're going to really look at his humanity. And then the 2 weeks after Thanksgiving break on 12/3, we're going to study the deity of Christ. And then I'm working on a special presentation to be announced on December 10th. And then we'll have a little break, let you guys enjoy your Christmas break, and then we'll come back with a new schedule for 2014. So keep an eye on that, LearnLogos.com /events for the 2014 schedule. If you have some suggestions for topics for 2014, please email me at webinars@LearnLogos.com. We're also going to do some new things this year, or in 2014. We're going to do a Bible study. I haven't picked the book yet. It'll probably be a shorter book, and so it's going to be a little bit different training format. We'll still teach you how to use Logos, but the context will be working through a whole passage. So you'll be learning how to study. We'll be able to interact with questions. So just going to kind of mix up some of the training to give a little more variety, and also have some more discussion in there, as some have requested that. So looking forward to that very much. And we'll, again, release that on the schedule. Okay, tonight's topics include recommended but not required resources. Why is there such a controversy for the Millennial Kingdom? What you may not realize is that belief in a literal 1,000-year reign of Christ is a minor view when you look at all of Christendom. Now, of course, I throw in there things like the Catholic Church and Seventh-day Adventists and Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and other people who would at least give lip service to the Bible. But it is a very narrow view, and surprisingly, and it really, as we're going to look at, became that way in the late 1800s, early 1900s, as a response to Darby and others who were promoting the millennial view. And there's some other reasons we'll get into that. But just want to know there is a controversy even today. People like R.C. Sproul, Hank Hanegraaff do not believe in a literal 1,000-year reign of Christ, which may be shocking. But when you complete this training with me tonight, you will definitely be equipped to address these issues. What is the Millennial Kingdom? We'll talk about hermeneutical and exegetical rules to identify millennial passages. We're going to look at key passages, discovering the millennial details. We're going to talk a little bit, just for a brief moment, about the millennial in today's Christian. and then additional keywords and phrases to search. Just a couple ideas and suggestions to go even further and deeper in your training. All right, we are ready to get started. So let me go ahead and let me go to Logos and quickly show you the personal book. So what I've done is I've organized the books into the various views. We have Amillennial, we have Millennial. So the Amillennial view will explain, which means they do not believe in a 1,000-year reign of Christ. Then we have the Millennial view, believing in a 1,000-year of Christ. And then we'll get into the post-millennialism. What exactly does that mean? And then there's some multiple view books. So let's go to the top and just take a look at a couple of these. For example, N.T. Wright. It's very popular, promoted quite a bit, not only on Logos, but several other places. He does not believe in the millennial kingdom. So this is more of a modern day book. Let me go ahead and bring this into the window once I get it opened up. And this way you can see the book cover and the pricing and a few other items there. They really do see the millennial kingdom as a myth. And we're going to go into why that is the case. All right, then we have temple worship. This is really fascinating, often neglected in the conversation of the millennial kingdom. But Ezekiel, 8 chapters dealing with specifics, measurements on the new temple. In fact, let me go to my PowerPoint. We'll come back to this later, but we'll come back to that. But just to give you a picture, now this is a slide from Logos, and I'll show you how to get to this in a little bit. But just to give you a perspective, okay, we've got American football field here in green. Then we have the tabernacle that was taken around, court of tabernacle. Then we have Solomon's temple, a little bit bigger. We've got Herod's temple, much bigger. But wait a minute, we get to Ezekiel's temple, and this thing is huge. It's bigger than all the temples combined, and then some. So this kind of detail is unprecedented. And every time we see this kind of detail in the Bible in the past, it's been literal. So reading through Ezekiel 40 through 48, we're going to get all this detail. So to say that it's future or it's spiritual, or to say it's spiritual and not literal future is really doing a disservice to the text. And so when you have that, so there is, and this temple's never been built. It has never been built. So it's future, it's earthly, it's temporal, and it's dealing with temple worship. Of course, there's going to be no Antichrist. And this is really fascinating. Another part of the hermeneutic rules is look for Eden-like conditions. This is really important. Indeed, the Lord will comfort Zion. He will comfort all their waste places, and her wilderness he will make like Eden, and her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness be found in her, thanksgiving sound of a melody. Okay, so we know what the Garden of Eden was like pre-fall. So the millennial kingdom is going to be like the pre-fall. And so it's going to be wonderful. Deserts are going to bloom. I'll give you some more examples. 11:6-9. There it is. The wolf will dwell with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the young goat. The calf and the young lion. All these creatures, post-fall, post-flood, were eating each other. But if you remember, pre-flood, pre-fall, these animals did not eat each other. So we're getting a reverse of the curse in a lot of ways. Their young will lie down together. The lion will eat straw like the ox. And look at this one. The nursing child will play by the hole of the cobra, and the weaned child will put his hand on the viper's den. They will not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord, and as the waters cover the sea. Absolutely fascinating. So these different ones, look at this. The wilderness and the desert will be glad, and the Arabah will rejoice and blossom like the crocus. It will blossom profusely. So we're talking literal reshaping of the desert. Eden-like conditions. The scorched land will become a pool, and the thirsting ground springs of water. In the haunt of jackals, its resting place, grass becomes reeds and rushes. And look at this one. The light of the moon will be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be 7 times brighter, like the light of 7 days. On the day the Lord binds up the fracture of his people and heals the bruise he has inflicted. So this is just an unprecedented change in the whole world. So pretty amazing. And remember, in Genesis, the ground was cursed. And man had thorns and thistles. And we know in Romans that creation awaits the revealing of the sons of God. It was subjected to futility. and not willing, but because him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its slavery to corruption into freedom of the glory of the throne of God. So this subjection of nature is going to be changed with the coming of the kingdom. There's still yet, and keep in mind, a future heaven and earth, a new heaven and new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and there is no longer any sea. So this is a great example, and this particular phrase, new heaven and new earth, has different meanings in different contexts. In one context, it's representing the millennial kingdom, and you'll see that. In this context, it's talking about the eternal state, totally different. Zechariah 14:8, in that day living waters will flow out of Jerusalem, half of them toward the eastern sea, the other half towards the western sea. It will be summer as well as in winter. How about that? When you're studying the millennial passages, be on the lookout for these Eden-like conditions. And another aspect that's really important is sin will still exist in the millennial kingdom, not in the eternal states. That's how you can kind of discriminate here. For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king. He'll save us. Your tackle hangs slack. It cannot hold the base of its mast firmly, nor spread out the sail. Then the prey of the abundant spoil will be divided. The lame will take plunder, and no resident will say, I am sick. The people who dwell there will be forgiven their iniquity. So because there's a judge, because there's someone who's making decisions like Christ, which he'll be doing from the throne, that means that there's still sin, but it's being dealt with swiftly, righteously, because Jesus is all-knowing and all-powerful. He doesn't need lawyers to tell him the truth. He already knows, so it's going to be hard to lie. And so justice will truly be served and meted out. But there is still a need for sins to be forgiven during this time. So that'll be very, very important to see that. All right, now, how do we discover key passages? Because this is really the millennial details. Now, I've given a whole bunch of passages to help you in your study. And again, this isn't an exhaustive list, but it's there to get you going. So, but let me just move this off to the side a little bit, and that way we can see it. Now, I believe that the millennial kingdom is first revealed as far back as Genesis. All right? And it's interesting on the timing because God creates Adam and Eve. Adam, in a sense, is the king on the earth. Of course, it's only him, but he is to be fruitful and multiply. And no doubt, as being the first person created, he did have authority over the creation. Now, it's very, very, very vague, but look at this. It says, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed, which is a reference to Christ, and he shall bruise you on his head, and you shall bruise him on the heel. So we know that there's a seed coming, but it doesn't take long, because by Genesis 12, we start to see some more information. All right? Now, Genesis 12 is the beginning of the Abrahamic covenant. Go forth from your country, from your relatives, from your father's house, to the land which I'll show you, and I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and so you shall be a blessing, and I will bless those who bless you, and the ones who curses you, I will curse. And in all you, the families of the earth will be blessed. All right, so now we know from Galatians 3:8, Scripture foretold, foreseeing, God would justify the Gentiles by faith, preach the gospel beforehand to Abraham, saying, all the nations will be blessed in you. So we're beginning to see this movement of God, progressive revelation, expanding on this concept of the seed who's coming, and then this great blessing, how he's going to become a nation. We know we get to verse 15 in Genesis, and this is where Abraham gets saved and a covenant is made. And God is the one who goes through the carcass alone. So he's making a covenant with himself. So it's impossible to break. And we get into the land covenants, okay? And when God made the promise to Abraham, he'd swear by no one greater. He swore by himself. I will surely bless you. I will surely multiply you. And he's done all that. And in part of this covenant was a land. Now, we find out later that this covenant was confirmed by Isaac. It was confirmed with Jacob in Genesis 28. And then we get to Genesis 49:10. Listen to this one. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. So now we're starting to see who is Shiloh. Now we know that Christ comes out of Judah. So there's clearly a link there. But Shiloh is a reference to him, obedience of the people. Look at the psalmist. He has remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. The covenant which he made with Abraham and his oath to Isaac, that he confirmed to Jacob for a statute to Israel as an everlasting covenant. Surely to you I will give you the land of Canaan as your portion of your inheritance. And there's more there. Now, how do you find information on the Abrahamic covenant? Well, let me show you how. We're going to go to search. Once again, we'll go to search, basic search, and let's search entire library. So for our book collection, choose entire library. And then we're going to put in large text Abrahamic covenant. So large text, colon, quote, Abrahamic space covenant, quote. Need that quote there for phrases. And now we can search and find all the information about the Abrahamic covenant in much more greater detail. Now, the Abrahamic covenant is the beginning of this promise, and it gets more detailed as we move through time. We come to the Palestinian covenant or the land covenant, Deuteronomy 29:30. Again, you can search the Palestinian covenant. And again, this is just more clarification of the land. Then we come to the Davidic covenant, which gives us even more detail. Look at this one. This is really fascinating. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. Now, very important that you catch this. Look at verse 14. I will be a father to him, and he will be a son to me when he commits iniquity. Now, that can't be Christ because he's committed iniquity. So this is a reference short term to Solomon. In other words, God is promising that he's going to have his son rule and reign on his throne. But if you jump over to the parallel passage in 1 Chronicles 17:12, we get the same quote, but a little different. He shall build for me a house, and I will establish his throne forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son, and I will not take my loving kindness from him as I took it from him who was before you. But I will settle him in my house and in my kingdom forever, and his throne shall be established forever. This came through Nathan the prophet to David. So what we're seeing here is that David was given insight that one of his descendants, Christ Jesus himself, the Messiah, would come from his lineage, rule and reign on his throne forever. And this is why David started dancing before the Lord with what joy he had. 1 Chronicles 22:10. He shall build a house for my name. He shall be my son. I'll be his father, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. Pretty amazing. Jeremiah comes along and affirms this Davidic covenant. And Jeremiah does it again. Behold, the days are coming, so there's a future, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he will reign as king and act wisely and do justice and righteousness in the land. In his days, Judah will be saved, and Israel dwells securely, and this is his name by which he will be called, the Lord our righteous. I mean, look at that. That is a clear reference to an earthly temporal kingdom of Christ. Behold, days are coming, declares the Lord, when they will no longer say, as the Lord lives, who brought up the sons of Israel from the land of Egypt, but as the Lord lives, who brought up and led back the descendants of the house of Israel from the northland and from all the countries where I had driven them. Then they will live on their own soil. So clearly Israel is gathered to its land fully, and there they're going to meet their Messiah. Pretty amazing. Now, the new covenant, this really throws a lot of people off, and this is where a lot of confusion is. So let me see if I can clear this up. The new covenant is not made with the church. It is still made with Israel. That may be shocking to hear, but if you actually look at who the covenant is made with, the new covenant, it's made with Israel. Now, how do I prove that? Let me show you. Jeremiah 31:34. Obviously an Old Testament prophet, Old Testament passage. Behold, days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not like the covenant which I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, my covenant which they broke, although I was a husband to them. But this is the covenant which I will make with the house of Israel. See, it's clear with the house of Israel. I will put my law within them, and on their heart I will write it, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. They will not teach again, each man his neighbor, and each man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they will all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, their sin I'll remember no more. We know this passage, but it's clearly this new covenant is made with Israel. Now, how do we get into the covenant? We get into the new covenant, as Paul talks about, by being grafted in through Christ. So since Christ is the Lord, God-man, makes the covenant with Israel, and we become Christ's body, we then get into the new covenant. So it's not two covenants, one for Israel and one for the church. It's one single covenant, but we come in through Christ. Very, very cool. Now, if you want to understand this, just do this simple search. Basic search, New Covenant near Millennial. And this will give you it'll be quite a few results, but you can see the connection of the New Covenant towards the Millennial.